Let's go deeper into what you were talking about. You can't watch the games anywhere. I'll let you kind of go off, cook up a little bit regarding this.
Well, the NBA has League Pass, which is their version of Red Zone, but it's extremely expensive, and the coverage the NBA has for a type of Red Zone like the NFL does is not really as great.
Can you watch full games on Red Zone?
No.
No, but
I would say it's the equivalent of watching the Prem on Peacock.
but Red Zone goes back and forth to all the games, and the NBA could invest in that, but I don't think the NBA has as much hype as football does on Sundays.
I don't think it's worth
That's
doing.
the problem. It's not worth doing at all.
Especially because there's only one way to score, and it's getting to the red zone, and all the games are on at the same time. With the NBA, there's not, some nights there's only 3 games.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to do that. But the NBA does they do compensate by, you can look back at play by play and watch the play happen. If you're trying to gather film and everything like that, you could watch full replays of games.
Yeah, you could.
There's a lot you can do.
They need, and then, streaming services, you got to pay now that MSG and Yes Network combined in our area now, you got to pay $350 a year to get Yes. It's ridiculous. This is cable TV that I'm paying $50 a month for Verizon. Why am I paying? And I'm paying for over 300 channels a month for Verizon. Yeah. I got to pay $400 a year just for 2 channels that I'm watching for 3 hours on a daily a week with your games.
And here's the main problem with that too.
Where are you getting these prices?
Let's say you don't have cable, and the Knicks are on League Pass. The blackout, you can't watch it. The regional blackout, because the regional channels have the rights.
Yeah. Right.
And now Prime's coming into it. Everybody has Prime. Some people don't have Prime, unfortunately, for next year.
Yeah.
So maneuverability. Listen, we always say availability is the best ability. There's no availability to watch NBA games right now.
Yeah, that's good.
It's bad.
So I don't know if you saw, but Charles Barkley talked about it, I think, on the Inside the NBA this past week. But with the viewership being down, he said the NBA season should start on Christmas Day with the Christmas games. So that's pushing the season back a whole month and a half, and you're presumably pushing back the finals probably until early August, going into September, which is football season.
That's what they did for the 2021 season, where it was it was right after the bubble. This opening day was December 22nd. It ended in I think it ended in July or August.
It was pushing football season.
But there were 72 games, so it will go even longer if they did a full 82.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Barkley's idea, I guess, because he's that's when you have the most viewership, because no sports are on that day besides basketball.
Right.
Gets everybody hyped up, but then who's to say that viewership might not drop because football's still on?
That's the problem, because you're getting into the end of the season, where you're starting the season, you're getting into the swing of things right around playoff time
for football.
Yeah, and that's the other issue too, because there's really no good place for the NBA to start, because you're dealing with the start of the NFL, start of college football, the MLB playoffs.
Yeah.
It's all it's very tough. Yeah. So it's tough to kind of gauge where it would be at, but basketball is a winter sport in and of itself.
Yeah.
So, but I don't necessarily think the streaming services are the problem. I think it's the illegal streaming services that are the problem. Because these companies like Stream East and all these illegal sites that I may or may not, use on a very frequent basis, you can easily watch games from there.
Yeah.
And they have so much protection on them that no matter what happens, if they get taken down by the NBA or the federal government, they easily can launch it right back up within 5 minutes.
Right.
They have the domain names. That's really the big key to it.
Yeah.
And look, I think if they could figure out a way to crack down on that in turn would lower the prices, I would hope, of the streaming services and everything of that nature.
Yeah.
Because, look, I know you talked about getting YouTube TV. They just jacked up their prices insanely high.
Yeah,
and they're going to be a hot commodity for all sports watching.
Yeah. YouTube TV is trying to get into that really big. And I was thinking about it, and I don't know if I'm going to pull the plug if I do move out on that. If I have just a streaming TV myself, why pay for YouTube TV extra?
Yeah.
We'll have to see when that decision comes in a year from now what I decide. I don't know. It's crazy that streaming services are charging this amount of money for even just things. It's ridiculous. I don't know where to come up with these prices. Who do you think is paying $400 a month for Yes Network and MSG combined to only watch for 3 hours in the week for a basketball game or
Well, you get the whole channel.
Baseball. You have the whole channel, but
Yeah.
their coverage is not. You're not watching that every day.
No, not at all.
Another reason for viewership being down came to my mind, which I think we're going to get into, but referees.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's segue in.
Referees,
It's a humongous issue.
big problem. I'm an advocate of let them play. Please keep your mouth off the whistle. Let them play. Bite your tongue. Let them play. Let them be physical. This is what the sport's all about.
That's good.
Yeah.
Only call fouls when it's necessary.
Yeah.
I hate stoppage of play because it kills momentum for teams. And we need momentum. And then also, we know that players and refs get into their faces all the time. And it just ruins everything. We see referees in the NFL, how it occurs with some players. But the NFL has its own thing. We're not going to get into that.
I think it's the biggest problem out of all the leagues.
Stoppage.
No,
the
the
refs.
referees.
The refs.
Because in my honest opinion, I think free throws are an even bigger problem than three-pointers. I don't want to watch a Sixers-Bucks game and watch Embiid and Giannis go to the free throw line 30 times a game.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like every time, like you see the Twitter memes where it's like Embiid 2024 highlights and it's just him taking free throws. Like when he scored the 70-point game, when a player scores 70 in a game, that's like so mind-boggling that it should be remembered for centuries. But he had 44 points that weren't free throws. You're telling me he goes to the free throw line almost 40 times in that game alone? Even SGA, same thing. It was a breath of fresh air watching the Nuggets go on their run because the Nuggets don't get a good whistle. The Nuggets were 29th in free throw attempts that year.
Right.
So the stoppage of play definitely is a big factor. And that also goes to the refs, soft fouls, soft techs.
Yeah.
When Jokic was in Chicago last year, remember, we're talking about the NBA right now from a business perspective as an end product. Jokic got ejected off of just saying something to the ref, and it wasn't even that bad.
Yep.
He didn't even get a first tech. It was just an instant toss. It was Serbian Heritage Night in Chicago. You're telling me it wasn't coincidentally planned for that game to happen on that night when he's there? That's a big problem.
Listen.
And you only get to see him for 10 minutes.
You have to take a certain amount of power away from the refs.
Well, how do you do that? They're the ones they're the rule keepers of the game.
Yeah.
Right?
But there's gotta be, listen, if the refs call fouls that are just so nonchalant, a tap of the arm, nothing really serious, you gotta punish them. Listen, if you make a bad call, if you make an egregious call, you get demoted to G League. You get a week off for your
G League.
You get
Crazy.
Listen, soccer has this thing. If you miss a bad call in a soccer game related to VAR or anything else,
They'll send you down.
They demote you for a week and a half, too.
Or you get sacked.
Or you get sacked. You're gone. That's what they should be doing with these
But
guys.
I don't think that's necessarily the problem. I think the problem is the techs. And the refs
Techs,
are.
okay.
I mean, remember, these refs now grew up watching the NBA as fans.
Yeah.
They want the spotlight.
They're
They
throwing
want
out
it to be about
texts.
them.
Do they though?
Oh, absolutely.
They're throwing out texts like it's
They're going
free.
out of style.
You get a car, you get a car, you get a car, like Oprah used to do back in
So
the day.
Tyler, you're not worried too much about regular shooting fouls.
That's a problem in its own.
Okay.
But the problem is keeping the good players on the floor.
So
and
you're
they're
worried
just
about
not
the
doing
techs.
that.
Okay.
Yeah, the techs are terrible. It's when Russ dunked on someone, literally just looked at him. And he got a
Right.
tech.
Yeah,
Cade
that's
Cunningham
nonsense.
dunked the ball on an alley-oop, pointed to his teammate to say good pass, and the ref tossed him.
Yeah, it's nonsense.
Like, it's ridiculous.
They don't know what's what. That's the problem.
And the problem is certain teams get certain favoritism, certain players get certain
Right.
favoritism.
Right.
Why do
Right.
you think when you look at free throw attempts, the same usual suspects are up there?
Yeah.
It's the Lakers, it's the Sixers, it's the Bucks, it's the Thunder. Who's at the bottom? It's the Nets, it's the Spurs, it's the Warriors.
Yeah.
It's always the same teams getting the benefit of the whistle. We even saw it with the Knicks in their playoff run last year. The Knicks got the benefit of the whistle a lot. Same thing with the Lakers against the Nuggets. Same thing with the Nets Bucks series in 2021. As good as we played, whoever had home court, the whistle just went right in their favor. I think I saw a stat. I think PJ Tucker averaged 1.2 fouls in Bucks home games. And in Brooklyn, he almost fouled out in every game. So it's interesting the way games are reffed and officiated and everything like that. And it's just ridiculous. And I think it's a humongous issue regarding the NBA because it taints the league and you just don't want, like, what's the point of of these guys playing if the refs are just going to nitpick everything they do.
Yeah, and also another thing we keep in mind is, people come to see NBA games and pay egregious prices to sit pretty much anywhere in the arena because nosebleeds are kind of over $100 right now.
Yeah.
And if a measly NBA referee ejects your favorite player that one time you're at the
You're
game
leaving at halftime, bro.
and your whole night's ruined. You came to see Jokic or LeBron, he gets ejected in the first quarter. That fan that just came over maybe 1,000 miles to watch them play for the first time they're in the country doesn't get to see their favorite player play.
And now they hate the NBA.
Exactly.
And they don't want to watch the game anymore.
They don't.
You got to take these things into account. The fans are what bring the money to the game, not the referees.